Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Amateur Otaku podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Isak Wolff, and joining me today is my good friend and what should I call it, co-founder of the Amateur Otaku Pod, Brandon Alvarado, at last remembers his name. How's it going, buddy?
I do. My name is what was it again? Damn it.
Uh, so,
Excited to be here.
well, yeah, it's this is one of the days that we finally get the chance to talk about some old school stuff. We always enjoy talking about Demon Slayer, My Hero Academia, Attack on Titans, what have you, but there's also the whole nuggets of old school
Yeah.
animation. That's a major thing that we also want to cover it because while we want to push it to show this is something more than just that, we also want to show people this is something that happened earlier. It's not. It shouldn't be forgotten. Stuff like that. We did
Yes.
even if Cowboy Bebop is an older one, it's it's a much more new and well-known franchise considering its impact, culture, history, all that jazz. But there are also those gems that, for whatever reason, slips under the radar. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, I mean, it's like it's one of those pieces that no matter how old it is or no matter how people will consider maybe the animation's antiquated or whatever. Because I don't think we've had a remastered version of this ever or in a long time because I tried to look I had to I actually rented it to watch it and there's no HD version. There's only in standard definition. Um of course we're talking about
I know
quality.
that yes, yeah, and you know that they recently get was able to get English dub. It wasn't until rather recently, actually.
Right. And even then, if even I didn't see it, I didn't find an English dub because I actually rented it on Amazon. Um but yeah, it's one of those films that should never be forgotten because it's actually very timeless. Like especially the way it talks about topics, even though it's three different stories, each of them addressing very particular philosophies or ideas, very different genres too, and I think it's timeless. And like you said, it's one of those old
Yeah.
nuggets that should never be forgotten. And I'm glad that you helped me remember. But yeah, Memories by direct yeah director Katsuhiro Otomo. I mean, it's not directed. Actually, I ruined this. It's not. I let me fix this because I actually based on I did this wrong. Damn it! I'm doing this live. It's gonna happen. It's okay. I'm a human being, and it just evidence that I forgot things.
I believe that the English dub didn't come out until last year. Now that I think about it, which is
Last
kind of
year,
insane.
last year, so 2020.
Yeah,
So it took 16 years to get an English dub of this.
I'm fairly certain. Yes.
Well, let me ask you this, because the reason this came
Okay.
to our radar, because I don't know if you've seen this film before,
I've
and
seen it before.
it's funny because I actually have the DVD of it now that I remember. Somebody gave me the somebody gave me the DVD as a gift. I don't know where it is. I think I've lost it, but I don't know where it is. Um, but recently, someone released it on YouTube, and it was available on YouTube for a lot of people to see. A lot of people saw it, I think, but then it was taken down. Is that what it was?
I believe so. Yeah.
Now, did they put the whole film or did they put one of the episodes?
I don't know. I don't know why, because you would think that, figure that it was legally, but considering it was just out there on YouTube and all
Yeah.
and was announced,
Yeah.
and apparently it was Discotech Media that gave that, if I'm not mistaken, announced it 2020 that it was gonna get English dub.
Yeah, but it was interesting. But yeah, it took 15 years to announce the English dub. Another year to get it on there. It went on YouTube. Now I don't know if the YouTube version that ever came out was the English dub version. And it's funny because I wasn't that surprised that YouTube was the house of memories for even for a week or whatever. Because one of the things that I've noticed that I find very interesting before we jump into the episodes was that Funimation is actually streaming entire episodes of certain animes on YouTube for free, which I find very interesting. I don't know if you've noticed that. Like,
It's
there's just
probably because they have something along the lines of, here's some nuggets you can have if you want to watch the rest. You sign up for
no, but
this
that's
our service.
no, but that's the thing. They're not putting clips on YouTube. They're putting complete episodes on YouTube of certain
Yeah,
animes.
that's what I mean. It's
Oh,
sort of like
like
how
this is one of the many shows that we do, right? Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, it's
Okay.
sort of like
Okay.
how adults. I think it was Adult Swim that posted the very first episode of Fen Pirate Princess that we covered with our good friend Rob Murray. Shameless plug. Who was Yukimaru, and they did they released the entire first episode of that show.
On YouTube?
Yeah,
On the Adult Swim channel. Okay.
I believe so. Yes,
Okay.
but
So so
they didn't release the rest. The first episode was sort of like a nugget of test showing, see if people had interest. If you get what
okay.
I mean.
Yeah, and I'm kind of glad that that whole report of Magnetic Rose coming on YouTube came out because I would have never taken the time to watch this. And I'm glad that you suggested it for the show, and I'm really happy that we're going to talk about it because what an awesome collection of short films. So I'm really happy that you mentioned it and that I remembered to watch it. I'm going to be doing that a lot in this episode, so I figured you just sit down and take the puns.
Well,
Did you forget how to talk or?
no, I was just thinking about how glorious though this over 2 years of punishment has finally got to you.
Well, it's either what is it you either you either what is it live long enough to be the hero or how does it go?
Live long enough to become you die here, or live long enough to
To
become
become
a
the villain,
villain.
to become the punster. Yeah, I think that's kind of what's going on. And I hate you for it. So, should we jump in and start talking about
Yeah,
episodes? So
I
so
think
for
we
those
should.
so for those that don't know, Memories is based was came out in 1995. Is based on stories by Katsuhiro Otomo. Which, if that name means anything to you, this young man was the director of. He's best known as the creator of Akira, both the anime and the film. So that's a big thing. Like Akira is like one of the biggest sci-fi movies in history. That is 100% an anime. Many people have talked to in a live action adaptation. The manga is like I've seen it. Like the omnibuses are like huge. I kind of want to read the Akira manga. Um, but Akira is one of the biggest names in anime history, period. So these are a lot of some short films based on stories of his. Not all of them, if any, were directed by him. I know that Satoshi Kon, which is a director and writer that we both love, like he's the one behind Millennium Actress, Perfect Blue, um, Tokyo Godfathers, Paranoid Agent. He did a lot of great stuff, and during his short lifespan. So he was involved in writing screenplays for this too. So there's a lot of great stuff here. So if you love Akira or like the mind of Katsuhiro Otomo, there's another glimpse to that. And before we jump in,
Also,
go ahead.
don't forget who is the composer for this movie.
I don't know who the composer is for this movie. Who's the composer?
Three, two, one. Let's jam.
Joko Kano did the music
Yeah,
for this.
supposedly so. Yeah,
Nice. Okay, I gotta look this up. This is just like, let me see. She did the music for one of the episodes. She did the music
yeah,
for Magnetic Rose.
yeah. So
Oh.
I was partly right.
Yes, and not only that, one of the three episodes, which I think is about time we bring him back to life, because I don't think we've talked about this production house. We haven't talked about this production house in a long time. Do you know who produced? What company produced one of the?
Madhouse.
Damn it, Isaac! Why are you like so? I was trying to build up to it, and you just like destroyed my.
I'm the doc. I know
Just
stuff.
you destroyed my joy.
Yeah, always, always.
Um, and then Studio 4C was the other one that did the other two. And no, did you know that Studio 4C did Justice League The Flashpoint Paradox?
Yep.
I mean, they also did the horrible Berserk movies, but we're not going to talk about that.
Ugh.
But I mean, they did great. They did two great episodes for Memories. So let's talk about the good stuff today. um, but yeah, so a powerhouse team worked on this this movie, and I'm really excited. Let's jump in. Now, if you guys like sci-fi stuff or very or thought-provoking um anthologies, because that's what Memories is, I figure I'd take a minute and put this out there. Amazon has a sci-fi anthology series called Electric Dreams, and it's all based on short stories by Philip K. Dick. Those that don't know who Philip K. Dick is, if I am not mistaken, let me look it up because I think I know. Philip K. Dick, if I'm not mistaken, he is the author behind the book that inspired Blade Runner. So yeah, there's that. So if you love sci-fi stuff, you should definitely go check that out. And I like how this anime short film collection kind of scratches that itch. You know what I mean? So Isaac, you ready? You ready to start this?
Yeah.
So it's three episodes, right? The first one being the longest, and each of them talk about three different worlds, three different topics, three different animation styles. Um, I would say the third one being the most drastic. But let's go one by one. So the first one I think is the most popular one, Magnetic Rose. And I remember when you started talking about this film, you were calling it Magnetic Rose, so I kind of got lost. It wasn't until I looked into it that I found out that it was one of the episodes, because I thought Magnetic Rose was just film in and of itself, and then I found out about Memories being like a short film anthology or whatever. Why do you like Magnetic Rose? What do you like about it?
First of all, I like all three of them, but
Mhm.
this one in particular, I think, is the best one because not only do I think it has the better story of the three,
Yeah,
they brilliantly set up the atmosphere, the the relationship between between the cast and crew that you can see you see at the beginning of the short,
yeah.
which is for reference, they are just how should I call them in short terms? They what's it called? Those that handle junk, the
They're
destroyed cars and
they're
all.
um, damn it, they're garbage workers pretty much.
Yeah, they're a garbage
Yeah,
worker,
but
sort of.
junkyard worker is not the right word. They're
Yeah,
salvage. They work in a salvage freighter.
yeah, salvage characters.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you. And one day they get a weird distress call that they decide to check out, just for reference. And then something weird happens that it looks like they come into a, I would say, 1800 or 1700 ballroom mansion, so to
yeah,
speak. And
yeah.
some some weird stuff happen, and it kind of reminds me sort of I don't know if you have seen Perfect Blue.
Yes,
Have you
yes,
have you
yes,
seen that one?
yes.
We need to cover that one.
That's an amazing yet crazy film by Satoshi.
It's
Yeah.
it's sort of in terms of atmosphere and how they create it and all that. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of reminds me of that one because
Yes.
it keeps you on the toe. You never really know what if you speak as someone that has you watched you're watching it the first time, and it's how should I put it? The camera moon. I mean, on top of all that, the cinematography and with how they handle just looking the animation, as in look like the camera is moving around,
Yeah.
following it all, just like a horror movie would do, or a psychological thriller, makes it even more impressive because
Yep.
yes, they have us partly CGI in this movie. Yes, but
But it's very slight.
the
It's very slight.
it's very slight and
Mm-hmm.
it flows it blends together perfectly together, and it's just every scene. Uh, it's it's a very slow paced short film, but at the same time, it's not slow paced because something always happen, even it's not just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot. There's a very Ridley Scott alien vibes on its core, at its core, right? Like, for those that have seen the original Alien film, which I don't remember what year did it came out. Did it come out? It was like 81 or something? Because it came out like in, I know it came out in the 80s. Oh no, not Alien. No, wow. Alien came out in 1979. Now, one of the biggest draws from Alien, I
Fun
don't know if you
fact.
go ahead.
Fun fact. Japan. If there's two movies that have influenced Japan in terms of their science fiction genre back in the day, it's Alien and it's Blade Runner.
Yes, and you can see a lot of that in Akira. So you can see how Otomo was probably inspired a lot by that, especially by its use of body horror, right? Like especially in Akira, you can see a lot of that. But in this film, like, if anybody remembers, the slogan of Alien was, "In space, no one can hear you scream." That was like, that's the punchline. That's the slogan that was in every poster and everything like that. And literally, if you think about it, this magnetic rose starts with that plot point. It's a SOS call, just like Alien. It takes place in space, just like Alien. So you can see where you have that inspiration in there, right? But again, what's the name of the film collection? It's called Memories. And the one thing that this movie does very, very well is about the theme that it's discussing. It's all about the past and how you deal with the past, and how you can become obsessed with the past, or you can be obsessed by what by a memory, or traumatized by a memory, or traumatized by a past life where you either not where you either move on or you don't. And the power that a memory or a moment can have upon you. You know what I mean? Um, and I like how this short film does that, because and how that idea can be horrifying, because you got to think about it. It does have that horror film aesthetic and feel throughout the whole movie, right? It's dark hallways, mysterious, um, weird things coming out of nowhere, and you mostly see it like on the side of, and then you like, it's a short knit crew of people. one of the characters is always freaked out at everything that's happening. The other one is kind of like the hero, right? That's kind of holding it all together. There's a lot of all these stereotypes going on. Um, but I like how it comes down to exploring this idea of this woman that decided not to let go of her past life because she didn't like how her life was going. And the idea of the main character, which his name was, what was his name again? His and Heinz being the character that has a traumatic backstory, but chooses to accept it and move on. And I think is a very artful and pleasant way of telling that kind of story. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, going into this, I figured that they were just gonna focus on the horror aspect or elements of it. I wasn't expecting them to get emotional and get me and have me going like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like you kind of expect it to be oh shit in terms of scares, but then it goes oh shit because of kind of messes up with you emotionally. Did you feel that way?
Kinda.
Were you expecting it to do that? Were you expecting those twists? Like the whole thing with Heinz backstory? I wasn't expecting that. That came out of
When it
nowhere.
comes to watching it the first time, no, I did not.
You didn't expect it?
Yep.
Yeah. And I like how now that you mentioned, I like you when you said like from the first time, because when you watch it a second time, like a good horror movie or a good film that depends on its twists, you do see all those little niblets throughout that are kind of like building towards um, the eventual reveal of the fate of of Heinz's daughter. Um, but yeah, man, I mean, what a gorgeous movie. What a great way of building suspense. I mean, and also what a there's this movie I think I don't know. You ever heard of a movie called Event Horizon? That if I'm not
Yeah,
mis-
and
I'm
I'm not a
I-
fan.
well, I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm not saying it's a good movie, but if I'm not mistaken, it has to do a little bit about being in space and like going into alternate worlds or whatever, right? I like how the whole idea of technology and how it works in this film. I found it very creative and very interesting. The different things that allow this character of Ava to stay alive, and how she's trying to trap anyone she can within this lie or nightmare. Um, and and do you think there's a little bit of a commentary on the idea of identity and how experiences or other people can affect our identity? Because like Ava being so stuck in her past, she couldn't accept how moving forward will change who she was. And and then his Heinz partner kind of like like his identity was or who he was that he just wanted to have a woman in his life, right? At whatever the cost. Like that was just who he was, which is why he was just convinced and drawn by the lie of Ava, because he didn't want to leave, and he didn't leave at the end. Like he was just trapped in that thing, you know. And you got to think that he wasn't the first one that was convinced by her lie or whatever, or didn't care. I don't know. This is a very interesting film, and I liked it a lot. And this is your favorite of the three, right?
Yeah,
What else did you
sure.
what else did you like about it?
It just the fact that there isn't a real filler in it It just
Mm,
it's a movie that it's a short that knows what you want to do, goes through it, and
yep.
just knows where to have its start, middle, and end.
Were you expecting an alien life form? I was. I
Uh,
was.
yeah, same here.
But I like how. But I like how because of the theme. Why do you think he didn't include an alien life form? I have a theory, but what do you think?
Not sure.
Because it kind of feels, especially with the whole alien Ridley Scott setting. I mean, you're expecting that, right? You're expecting it to be something deadly, right? But I like how it's a psychological thriller or psychological horror. Like the threat, it's something that any human being, whether in space or not, can be threatened by. And I like how it transcends technology and any extraterrestrial danger. Like it's all up it's all about how we interpret reality and memories and how they affect us or how we interpret the moments that define us. um I like that. I like that a lot because when you're expecting on one side for it to be like, oh, here's the xenomorph that's gonna do shit, that's gonna do shit to your brain or whatever, like not necessarily death, like maybe there's this alien that will do things to your memories, you're expecting something like that. No, like the enemy in this film or the danger is this real human weakness. It is just being done through a memory. Like a memory is the problem and how people deal with this memory. I like how it's like literally like personified. That was very creative. I mean, Otoma was, I mean, is or was great. I mean, is he still alive? Is he still around?
Who they're talking about? The Akira
Yeah, Otomo. Yeah, he's still
I'm
alive.
fairly. Yeah.
It says, yeah, he's still alive. I mean, oh, he did Steamboy. I mean, I haven't seen him do anything else, but yeah, he's still alive. So it's like, I don't know. It's a very interesting way of exploring how the human mind works. So yeah, thumbs up on that. Now, do you have anything else to say about this one? I think I spoke my fill.
Yeah, I'm pretty much done here.
Now, how do you explain going from Magnetic Rose to what happens when the biggest fart destroys the world?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
eh,
crazy. It's crazy. I
it's
mean,
this is arguably my least favorite, honestly.
is it because
It's
it's too comedic, or why is it your least favorite?
it's just it's probably because it comes off more as of a Saturday morning cartoon than anything else, which I don't. And if you watch it from that perspective, it's a good short. It knows what it wants. It starts.
Yep.
It
Yep.
starts from where it start. It knows what it wants, and just like the magnetic rose, it knows where to end. That's sort of like uh, when I watch anime, I want something that feel distinctly anime, not
Yeah.
something that you could see. Let us say, let us say that this was Disney in the 80s or something.
Mm-hmm.
If you told someone and just showed it that didn't know about memories and just said what think of that, and then this you said just to test someone and ask you, do you think Disney did that back in the day? And I wouldn't blame that person if it said yes, but I can't say that it's bad because it's a well crafted short, and it's very well animated because
Yeah.
like having characters walking is arguably one of the hardest part you can animate. And doing so, so many people running around this thing, just in so different motions and all that
Yeah.
jazz.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, it's a feat in and of itself. And but like I said, it's because it comes off as a Saturday morning cartoon that you could seen back in the day. It doesn't connect me with me as much as the other one does.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that distinct of a style that you. It's sort of like. Did you see Star Wars Visions?
I did not. I did not. I did not watch that.
The most popular. There was I can't recall the name of it, but it was the Ninth Jedi, or it's a specific episode that everyone raved about that they want more about. That episode for me was my least favorite Star Wars short because it felt like traditional Star Wars. When I wanted
Yeah.
what I wanted from Visions was I wanted something that felt like an anime spin on it.
You wanted innovation. You wanted something, an evolution. You didn't want to
Yeah.
retread old ground, right?
Yes.
Right.
And I wouldn't call this a retread old ground because I don't think I've seen a Saturday morning cartoon like this. But it's just the structure, the whole mannerism in the characters that felt very Saturday morning cartoonish.
Yeah.
Especially the whole over the top they were when they trying to take this poor fellow down, who, in summation, considering we haven't this told the story of it, it's about a scientist going to a medical lab, and he wants to have some medication for his illness because he can't really work properly. He takes something that is a new experiment that turns out to be was meant to be a weapon. But due to his circumstances, he creates some form of massive gas around him that kills everyone around him, and then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse to the point that
And it has like a mind of its own too, which is just
kinda
yeah. And people die. It's
like flies.
like a fart, you know. Wherever he goes,
Kinda.
this this flatulence fart follows him. What I find it most crazy about, and I think, and of course we gotta assume that it's on purpose, because like you said, this is like, apart from the fact that this is like the complete opposite spectrum, right? Between Magnetic Rose and this one, like these are two opposite poles, right? Like they don't make sense being in the same anthology to a degree. You know what I mean? Like they're just too widely different. But I kind of find it weird and interesting how oblivious the main character is to what's happening. Like in no moment, shape, or form, um, he understands that this is his fault. You know what I mean? There's no moment or place where he understands that he is the one responsible for everyone dying around him. You know what I mean? Or that it's coming from him, which I find it kind of weird. Which is why I similar to the last episode too, because the last episode it's a more direct. reference to this, but I feel that this is supposed to be more of a satire, right? Of course, because of the
Probably.
comedic elements, right? But I wonder if it's a satire of of the idea of what happens when you have someone that doesn't think for himself. You know what I mean? Because that's the
Sort
one
of.
because that's the one thing that stands out to me, because he's a very very faithful worker, right? And he's sick, but he's not going to think about himself getting better because he believes that he has to go to work. There's a responsibility, there's something that's expected of him, right? And whenever the whole thing starts, he gets these orders from this higher end president or whatever of the company. So, you know, I'm not a Japanese person, right? I'm Puerto Rican. I'm far away from it, but you've seen certain things about Japanese culture, and like there's a lot of expectation placed upon a lot of the citizens, especially in some movies or stories where it's really all about what defines you as a person is how much you can follow the rules or the mold of what a traditional man is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I kind of see that here. Like, because he was groomed or made to be this person that doesn't think for himself and only focuses on being faithful to his leaders or bosses or higher ups, he ends up killing everybody and not feeling bad about it or not understanding that he's doing something wrong, because that's the whole thing about this. He doesn't see consequences. He doesn't understand that people are falling dead to him. He doesn't understand why. He just knows that he was given an order and he has to do it. Like, he feels guilty not for the people he's killing. He's feeling guilty about not being able to do what he was told to do. And that's kind of dark.
Yeah, it's a. You can see it's a dark comedy.
Yeah. 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 And it's like, and also how it ends, because like the US gets involved, of course, because why not, right? Cold War's over. Um, well, Cold War's with Russia. What the hell am I talking about? I'm an idiot. Um, but the US comes in like, well, with the ultimate solution. And what the US does is guarantee their downfall. Which I wonder if that's like another commentary against, you know how there's in a lot of movies that deal with Japan. I keep going back to The Last Samurai, where you remember that film with Tom Cruise? How one of the biggest arguments in that film, no matter what people think about it or not, was the idea of the Japanese.
I haven't seen it.
Okay, fair enough. So one of the big themes of that is the idea of the Japanese losing or sacrificing their culture and identity for progress, because for them, for a group of them, progress meant being similar or the same or more linked to Western countries, right, in America. And then you have the other group of people, which were the samurais, that felt that you can progress without sacrificing your identity and your culture, right? So so the idea that these militaristic leaders allowed the US to make decisions for their own safety. And all they did because they trusted the US to a degree, or this foreign nation, because they trusted this foreign nation, it just guaranteed their doom. So it's a mixture of like not having your priorities straight or not being firm with what you think. Like, I don't know. I'm trying to make this more deep than it is, because nothing's going to change the fact that this is a short film of how the biggest fart destroyed the world. Um, but yeah, I can understand why this is not your favorite. But you know me, you give me a pair, you give me You give me two colors, and I'll make a rainbow. See, that's my job.
So
I try to find meaning in everything. Maybe that makes me an idiot. I don't know.
you're just all over the place. You're not an idiot.
Yes. What were we doing again? I need to remember. Oh, okay. Um, but yeah, I don't know. But it's fun. I mean, it's beautifully animated. It's a nice change of pace. I actually kind of want them to re-release this in a way where you can just watch each episode individually, which I think will be more attractive to more people, especially now where everything's a series. So I wonder if there's a version of this that's like that. So,
Wouldn't
but yeah,
surprise me.
do you have anything else to say about this one
Would
apart from the fact that it
no. I
stinks?
was
Apart
just
apart
thinking
from the
that maybe
fact
we
that it
should move.
stinks. I'm sorry.
I
Go ahead.
wouldn't call it stings, but
It was a
let's move
bad
on.
pun. It was a bad pun, Isaac. Get it?
I
Apart from
know.
the fact that it's so you're just ignoring my puns now. Okay, that's fine. I
Yeah.
won't try anymore. You know what? I'm gonna get fired up and shot off by a cannon. Actually, that's a really bad pun. You know what? I'm gonna stop. Go ahead, Isaac. Let's go into episode 3. It's all yours.
I mean, you're fathers to my pun. You're a fodder victim to my pun. So,
Okay, so episode 3 of Memories.
hey, canon fodder, and this is a peculiar one, so to speak,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
and it's not that much story to say because it's all about, well, I wouldn't. Can you say war?
I don't
Or
think it's a, and that's the thing. This is the most abstract
yeah,
and ambiguous one more than anything. Like this is not meant. This is definitely a social commentary, and
absolutely.
um, and it's like a political thriller too. Like it's trying to handle political and societal ideas. Um, I do find it interesting that the particular choice in animation is radically different. Like this is meant to take on European artists more than anime. Like this, you can even argue this is something else. If it wasn't because it was made by an anime studio or whatever, you can say that this is not anime. You can think that this is something made in France or Russia or something, right?
Yeah,
Which I like because it's a different something radically different. Um, but yeah, man, I mean it's the most ambiguous, like because you really don't have a story. You have visuals and you have things that happen, and everything's like subliminal, right? I think the biggest point of the story is that conversation between the father and son at the end. I think that's like the biggest thing, right? And like this is a family in a place that apparently should we assume that this is a communist or socialist country, right? Of course, we assume that this is supposed to be like a Russia kind of place, right?
I
It
believe so.
has a lot of Russian elements, and like everybody works for the community. It apparently this place everything is run by war because apparently they're in war with someone. Every day, everybody does the same thing. You have the women building ammo. You have the men working in firing cannons. You have the kids being indoctrinated, which, and I want to say indoctrinated because all the kids are all wearing helmets similar to everybody else. So they're treated like little soldiers, right? Um,
Yeah,
and they're all being taught on how to fire. the cannons. So like this never-ending cycle of battle and war, and nobody talks about anything else. Um, and everything is like standoffish, and there's a little bit of totalitarian or dictator kind of mentality, because like that moment where the father's group drops the shell, literally like
Yeah.
by making that one mistake, he's like threatened to death.
Yeah.
So like there's stakes everywhere. um I don't know, it was very interesting. And what are your thoughts about it?
I mean, with this one, I do like it because, well, it's sure, like you said, it hasn't really an anime style per se in terms of art style and all that jazz. But I would say in terms of how it presented itself in a story fashion, it comes as very much anime, honestly, with how they present its story, with how abstract the story is.
Yeah,
If that makes any sense.
yeah, yeah. It is very abstract, and like it's all about how much can you catch in the environment, in the background. Like all the dialogue is in the background of everything, as opposed to it being in the forefront. It's like looking at a piece of art, which is why I think it's why the animation is very stylized, because you're meant to be distracted by the animation.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
And if you're able to look past that, is when you start hearing or seeing all the different little themes that happen in the background, which I find it very interesting. Which is what makes it a work of art. We could even say this is the most stylized and artful one of all three episodes, because
Agreed.
it's tackling a big subject. And that's why I find that the last conversation that we have, which is technically like you only really have what, like five conversations between very different people throughout the episode. And
I
the last
believe
conversation
so.
with, yeah, between the kid and the father, where the kid says, "Hey dad, who are we fighting?" and and then the dad says, "You'll understand when you're older." And it makes you think like, this kid lives in this world, and he's looking for answers to understand his world, but nobody has the answers for him, because everybody is robotic or expected to be robotic and to do what they say without questioning anything. It makes you think about how information is controlled in this world, and how too much information can lead you astray or whatever. I don't know. It's interesting how it doesn't matter who you're fighting as long as you do what you're told, because
Pretty much.
because that keeps you alive. Which I felt that's kind of what the father's trying to say. Like, don't ask who you're fighting. Just do what you're told, and you're fine. And how that's what keeps the ball rolling. I did find interesting though. Did you notice the whole thing about the protesters?
No.
So
What do you
there's
mean?
this. So so apart from everybody doing what they're told, right? Apart from the fact that nobody knows who they're fighting, they're just doing what they're told by the generals and whatever. So apparently, there's this whole thing where people are getting sick. People are getting sick because of the ammunition, because of the gunpowder that is being used. And because gunpowder is used every single day, because you can see like at the end of the episode, where you have the news talking about the results, like this cannon fired this many shots, this cannon did many shots, we dealt this much damage, right? Like this is something that happens every day. It's an endless cycle, right? So there's this after the whole thing with the cannon. you get this zoom out of people outside of Canon 17. They're protesting because the gunpowder is making people sick, and the government is not doing anything about it. Like the government doesn't care the effect that their actions are having against the people.
which you
And
can
there's
argue is a which you can argue a bit much of a social commentary about how the current governments in around the world act
yeah,
like they care, but they don't care about the environment
yeah,
here, of ours.
yeah. They don't care about so like they don't like it's the idea of understanding how much effect government can have on a country, on a people that don't stand for themselves, or maybe I don't know, because you have this small group of people protesting, but it's like this small group of people that nobody's listening to, because all you see is people just walking around them and not listening. And like the father knows that all this stuff is going on. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
he's not doing anything about it, because he's scared, or because he'd rather not lose his life, because he'd rather keep his family alive, which a lot of times is what happens in a lot of cases like this, because you're either all in or willing to give your life for a better world, or you don't. I don't know. It's a very dark and interesting way of seeing life, you know. Um, but there's a lot of places in the world that have been like that, or were like that, or can be like that. So I kind of like how this one um closes the whole movie series. And I wonder if he chose this one to be the last one to be there, because do you think this is a way of him saying, hey, this is something that has happened in our history in the past. We can't make the same mistake. Do you think there's a little
Wouldn't be
bit of this?
surprised. Wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. What a great collection of films, man. I'm happy we covered this. Do you got anything else on memories as a whole?
No,
I think we're done, man. What do you think?
I think I'm done too.
In your neck of the woods, Scandinavia and all that, where do you own memories, or is it available in Vacanim or whatever?
I own it.
Okay. Is it available in any streaming service over there?
Not that where I can find.
Yeah, I was able to rent it from. It's available with ads in Amazon, Amazon Prime, but I rented it to not watch all the ads. I hate ads, so I rather spend money because I'm rich. No, I'm kidding. I'm not rich. Um, but yeah, it's a fun film. If you guys love sci-fi anthologies, you guys got to check out Memories. It's great. It's simple. It's complex, and it's based on awesome stories by Katsuhiro Otomo. So you guys got to check it out. Definitely watch Memories and let us know what you think in the comments below.
Yeah.
So Isaac, I think it's time to head home. So where can people find you, man?
Well, you can find me my work over at Wobum Entertainment, and you can find me on Twitter at Emblemaniac.
And you can find me at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Twitter and at the Scarlet Fan 52 on Instagram. And you can find us at Amateur Otaku Pod. Have it awesome, guys. Peace.
Peace.
Don't forget.